Look at these barren, drought-cracked fields. In the village of Rampur, this parched earth is the daily reality for a laborer named Sarju. He spends his days searching for work, entirely unable to afford even a handful of grain to feed his family. Every evening, Sarju returns home to the sound of his daughter crying from hunger. Despite knocking on every merchant's door and offering to do any labor for any wage, he is repeatedly turned away empty-handed. Behavioral economists call this environment the scarcity trap. When humans are pushed into absolute destitution, our brains are hardwired to abandon long-term planning and default to immediate self-interest to survive. Which raises a terrifying question. If you are watching your child starve, and an opportunity arises to take what isn't yours, can you actually afford to maintain strict moral integrity? Poverty is an exhausting negotiation with the conscience. In Rampur, the lack of coins in Sarju's pocket functions as a constant, heavy pressure on his internal sense of right and wrong. Sarju's test arrives on a dusty road. A wealthy merchant's carriage gets stuck in a deep rut, and Sarju uses every ounce of his failing strength to pull it free. The merchant pays him a fair wage of 5 silver coins, enough to buy food for a week. As the carriage prepares to leave, Sarju spots something in the dirt where the merchant was standing, a single dropped gold coin. That small piece of metal holds enough purchasing power to instantly solve his family's starvation. He faces a direct choice. He can slip the coin into his pocket, securing a short-term windfall that no one would ever notice, or he can hold on to the strict honesty that has defined his entire life. Sarju runs after the merchant and hands the gold back. The wealthy man is stunned. In a market where everyone tries to cut a throat to get ahead, encountering a starving laborer who refuses to steal is entirely alien to him. The merchant hands Sarju 20 gold coins. He explains that he is paying for something far more valuable than labor. He is paying for the rare certainty of Sarju's word. By rejecting a one-time theft, Sarju successfully generated the highest yield asset in early economics: unshakable trust. Armed with genuine capital, Sarju buys a cow for his family and launches a business sourcing fresh vegetables and grain to sell in the city. His immediate competition is a rival merchant named Changi Lal. Changi Lal operates on a completely opposed model, maximizing his profit margins through rigged scales and highly deceptive pricing, and actively spreading false rumors about his competitors. Watch the market react. Sarju keeps scales in sight and prices identical. Customer nodes rapidly migrate from Changi Lal's deceptive hub, attaching to Sarju. This trust builds a competitive moat. When Changi Lal spreads rumors, the attacks bounce off, deflected by the community's absolute faith. In a localized peer-to-peer economy, consistent, measurable integrity mathematically outperforms deceptive profit maximization over time. Then, the region gets hit by a catastrophic systemic shock. A severe drought triggers a famine, completely destroying the local food supply chain. This chart maps their responses. Changi Lal hoards grain, spiking prices tenfold. The gray community survival line plummets. But Sarju does the opposite. By dropping his price to zero and distributing free grain, he triggers an immediate massive spike in network loyalty. But there is a glaring mathematical flaw in Sarju's altruism. His reserves are finite. Distributing free food means he will eventually run out of inventory, threatening his family's survival. Before that collapse happens, news of Sarju's charity reaches the wealthy merchant he helped years ago. The merchant steps in and injects his entire warehouse inventory into Sarju's operation to keep the food supply flowing. Sarju's early investment in social capital functioned as an invisible insurance policy. It triggered a massive financial bailout that saved the entire village. At the height of the famine, a fire breaks out in Changi Lal's warehouse. In a healthy village, neighbors would form a bucket brigade, but Changi Lal has spent years treating those neighbors as targets for extraction. He watches his hoarded grain burn alone. Because he spent years alienating his neighbors to maximize his margins, he generated zero social capital. Now that he is destitute and falling ill, not a single person in the village has a reason to step through his door. So Sarju makes one final, highly counterintuitive move. He walks into his ruined rival's home, brings him free grain, and pays out of his own pocket for a doctor to treat him. Receiving unearned grace from the man he tried to destroy breaks Chengalal's cynical worldview. He recovers, abandons his deceptive practices, and adopts Sarju's model of honest trade. We usually think of karma as a mystical, cosmic intervention, but look at this network structure. Karma is the compounding mathematical consequence of the human connections we build. While greed creates a temporary profit spike, Sarju's path created a safety net. It wasn't gold that saved him, it was making himself essential to everyone.